It's time to give up. Give up what? Give up the slavery of spending 5 days of the 7 doing exactly what you probably don't want to do. You wonder, how do these people do it? How do they get out there? I don't understand. I have all these bills. I have all these responsibilities. Well, in this video, I'm going to teach you how we did it and give you some great ideas on how you can do it. I believe the world is set up to keep you in slavery so that the elite few can be free. You are working to make their dreams come true. To go forwards, you need to look backwards. In my life, I had 4 kids. I had a great job, very busy life, fancy cars, farm with a lot of animals on it. I never made a lot of money, but I pretty much spent everything I made. So that is not conducive to going cruising by any means. But I figured out, hey, what if we cut all these bills off? We added all our bills up for our cars, electricity, all the things that normal people have, subscriptions, health insurance. And I thought, what if I didn't have to pay any of those? The truth is, if you don't have to pay much, you don't have to make much. That's the secret. I really believe that the things you buy in your life are really to alleviate the pain of doing all the things you don't want to do. There are so many hidden costs in your regular life. Think of every birthday party you went to and you had to buy a gift. Oh, let me fix a plate and take it to the Sunday potluck dinner. All those things stop when you get out here. Every single little expense. I'll go get a coffee from Starbucks. Oh, let me just drive around because I'm bored. Oh, I'll take so-and-so out to dinner. All of that quits. And all of a sudden, you drop the bills, you drop all those expenses, and you become free. Free from what? Free from the slavery of conditioned programming from the world. You become free. You get to choose what you want to spend your money on instead of being forced into it. How many times did you try to buy a gift and think, I wanted the most expensive looking gift for the cheapest amount of money, because you really probably don't even like the person, but there's a weird obligation to buy them something. Now, if my family's watching, I'm not talking about you. I'm really not. This is one of the biggest questions we get when people talk to us. Now, that's like saying, how much does a car cost? Do you want a Yugo or maybe a Lamborghini? There are so many variables. Example, the more people you have, the more it costs. The more you eat out, the more it costs. The more you drink, the more it costs. The nicer and larger the boat, the more it costs. This is where the math gets a little bit complicated. I'm going to start with a single guy that owns his boat outright and does not travel home with flights and does not stay at marinas. All right, he can live on about $1,500 a month, and that includes his food, cruising permits, and repairs on the boat, assuming that the boat is in good condition. Let's assume our crusty sailor wants to take a mate with him. So now you add about $100 a week in food and a little bit more for cruising permits. So that would be about $2,000 a month on average. Based on what I've seen, that's about $500 per an additional person. So 4 people would cost about $3,000. Now keep in mind, that's not taking into consideration if you go and have fun, rent cars, and that kind of stuff. Now, there are a lot of parts to the cruising lifestyle, and from becoming enslaved to freedom. I'll do my best to lay these out in a way that makes sense, that you can understand, and hopefully it will change your life. I have a real desire to help people for free figure out how to live this way. Not too long ago, I helped a guy who would go cruising during the summer months for a couple months. He was a teacher, and I figured out how to help him break free. And now he is cruising, and he is super thankful, and that brings me joy. First, we need to define what is the cruising lifestyle. For me, and it is different for everyone, for me, the cruising lifestyle is being free to go where you want, when you want, spend as little time as you can making money so that you can do the things that you love. I remember when I was young, my dad would always say to me when he was mad, you just do what you want to do when you want to do it. Yep, that's what everybody wants to do. That's the nature of the human condition. We do what we want to do when we want to do it. But the conflict you're feeling in your life is you're not getting to do what you want to do when you want to do it. And that's not good. It's funny that we're made to feel guilty for doing what we want to do. The problem with coming out here and leaving your regular life is you'll get a lot of conflict. People will say, man, you're just being selfish. You're leaving us. But real friends, real family, they want you to be happy. They should anyways. The problem is people really don't want you to be happy. They want to be selfish. And if they were unselfish, they would encourage you to go. I'm going to tell you a little secret. Don't tell people you're going forever. Tell people you're going for a year or maybe 3 months. And then they get used to you being gone and then they're okay with it. You have to cook the frog slow. And to my family at home, I didn't try to trick you guys. We were really only going for 3 months. And then, we ended up staying out here a little bit longer for unforeseen things. I'm just being funny, really. My family was actually super supportive. There are really several parts that make this thing work, like the boat. What kind of boat? Finances, skill level. Those things are all important. But what's more important is that you make a simple decision to become free. The very second you start on that journey, a little glimmer of hope appears. And it grows, and it grows, and it grows. Always in my life, when I felt discouraged or beat down, I had no hope. Hope is the key that makes it all work. You cannot live that dream unless you have a dream. So my wife and I started watching videos from Delos and La Vagabond, and we were enslaved in our lives as much as anybody could. And we watched those videos and dreamed and talked, and it started feeling good. I would see little things that I could do to make less pressure on my life. And we started making decisions. We started researching boats. We started watching videos to increase our skill level. We started thinking through our finances. But that took about 5 years, which is a long time. My hope for you is that you could do that much quicker by watching some of these videos on how to break free. I wish I had somebody to tell me all the things that I'm telling you. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with one little step, and that's to make a decision to become free. Now it's time to figure out how. Step one is finances, and this is probably the hardest. Now, I don't know your financial situation. We were in debt, but we had a company we could sell to pay off the debt and buy a boat within our means to go sailing. But you may have other things going on. But a quick decision to live this lifestyle will open all kinds of doors. The world works that way. As soon as you make a decision, things start to change and you will find new ways to make it happen. One of the perks of being out here in this cruising community is you get to talk to all different kinds of people and see how they're living it. Cruisers generally are super friendly and they love to share. And if you just ask a few questions, you can learn a lot. And we did. We've seen people work online. We've seen retired people do it. We've seen young people do it that their parents help them. We've seen retired teachers. We've seen all kinds of cool stuff. And remember, if you are living on the boat, you don't need as much money to survive. It's amazing when you cut off all those extra expenses. Now, we do have a few bills. Our bills right now are Starlink and boat insurance, and then the cost of running the boat and our food, of course. Just the other day, I was in a pool at a marina, and I saw a young kid. He was 23, and he had 5 girls with him. I think they were 19 to 20, and he was living the life. And I said, man, how do you afford to be out here? And he said, let me tell you the story of how it all came about. He said, I watched videos when I was a kid and I loved the lifestyle and I wanted to go sailing, but I couldn't figure out how to do it. So he said, I started watching videos on boats and all that kind of stuff. And I realized I was going to need about $60,000 to make it happen. So he said, I went to the bank and asked him, could I borrow the $60,000? And they said no. So then he comes back with a buddy and he said, can we buy it together? And she laughed and said, yeah, only if you're married. So he started thinking, So they go to the courthouse, they get married temporarily, these were best friends, and then they go get the loan for $60,000 and then they get divorced. Now, you'd think, how's he going to pay the loan back? This is where it's genius. He figured out that kids were taking a leap year in his country and going and traveling and doing backpacking, and that was very common. So he thought, what if I took these kids on an adventure and charged them for it? I could make enough money to live the cruising lifestyle, have fun with all these young kids, and make a life of it. And guess what? He did it. I asked him, how's it going? He said he is having the time of his life, and he is having so much fun meeting new people, and he makes money doing the things that he loves to do. I also met another family that lives on a sailboat full-time with their kids, and they take 3 months every year, take people on the boat, show them the lifestyle, and teach them how to do it, and they make money to live the other 9 months. And it's really neat because families with kids want to know what it's like traveling with kids, and they show them that. And that's just a simple way they make a living, living the lifestyle. Now, I could go on for hours and hours. There's thousands of ways to make money out here. One way we started with was we bought a sticker machine and made boat stickers. Now, you can't make a lot of money, but you can make a little bit. And we also make money off social media, and it's building every day. And that's the hope I'm talking about. Maybe one thing you could do is write down all of your expenses and all the things you could get rid of and see the very few things that you actually have to be able to live out here. Now remember, you don't have to make a lot of money to live out here. If you got rid of the bills, you can make much less. There are tons of online jobs, and with the invention of Starlink, you can be just like at your house. You have full internet anywhere in the world. Of course, if you're offshore, it costs a little. All right, here's a sensitive subject. Boats. Which boat do I choose? Now, most important, I see lots and lots of mistakes out here. I see people overfinanced, and that is a huge problem. Your best bet is to buy the boat that you can afford to go on right now, even if it's a small loan. People live on teeny tiny boats out here. And I always see the people with the really expensive boats and almost feel sorry for them unless they've done the work they need to do to build a fort. I remember one time being in the Bahamas, and we were beside a small 27-foot boat, and right next to us on the other side was a $4 million catamaran. And I remember the guy saying to us on the 27-foot boat, he said, I crossed the entire ocean in this 27-foot boat with no refrigerator. And he said, look at this. We're all sitting here looking at the same sunset. The sickness of the world is that you have to have more and look good, even if you're miserable. Why would you ever trade freedom for responsibility? It's really just a simple mindset. It's a change in the way you look at things. Now when I see a fancy car and I know the person can't afford it, I feel sorry for them. We make decisions based on freedom. Never make decisions based on slavery. We always laugh at the sailing nerds on all of the forums. Stay away from those things if they're giving you negative information. The truth is, every boat, and I mean every boat, has a trade-off. Catamarans can pitch pole. Battle axe, crusty old boats don't do good in marinas. Big open boats like ours is a Beneteau, there's more of those crossing the ocean than any other boat in the world. So there is a trade-off to any boat. The main thing is you want to make sure you can afford it and afford to upkeep it. And it's quite simple. I'm going to give you a great piece of advice. If you don't know much about boats, pay for a survey. It's very important. You get an expert to tell you if the boat is in good shape or not. There's so many boats that look pretty, but are in absolutely terrible shape, and you will spend a fortune trying to get that boat up to par. You might be asking, how big of a boat do I need? Now that depends. If you have a big family, you need a bigger boat, but you can make it work in a small boat. Example, you can live in a Catalina 30, which costs about $9,000 with a family of 4, no problem. Now, it will feel a little bit smaller than a big boat, obviously, because you can't store as much stuff, but it is super possible. And think of all the extra time you get to spend with your kids when you're not working. In our land life, we were in a 2,000 square foot house on 10 acres. Lots of room to roam, walks in the woods, and all that good stuff. I thought by moving on a sailboat, it would feel cramped or mess with us in a way, like give us cabin fever. But the truth is, you spend a lot of time in the cockpit. And instead of sitting in front of the TV, you get out and go hiking. So my living room is the cockpit, which is wide open. So we never felt like we missed any space so far. As far as skill level, there's a few ways to get skill as far as sailing. One would be to take ASA sailing classes. They're several $1,000s, but you get hands-on experience. They teach you the basics, and in no time you'll be able to do it on your own. We didn't take the ASA sailing classes. We just decided to go out there and do it and learn. And we learned as we went. You can also get crew to go with you, and someone will do it for free that know more than you do and will teach you how to go sailing. And that's probably one of the easiest and cheapest ways to learn. Another is to go hang out at local marinas. There are a lot of old sailors that love to teach people how to sail. Just by you watching this video, you've already taken the first step. A glimmer of hope that your life can change for good and you can become free. Please follow along. We love making these videos and I love you guys and I love helping people learn how to sail. Keep your head up, keep focused, start with hope, start that research on YouTube and learn everything you can and you too can be free.